Hello and welcome. You're watching Head to Head on UATV. I'm Denys Gurak. As promised, the United States will provide non-lethal aid to Ukraine. With U.S. assistance, Ukraine's defense industry enterprise, UkrOboronProm, is proposing to launch a platform for the development of defense innovations, an analog of the American agency DARPA. How will this work in Ukraine? To answer this question, we are joined in the studio by Denys Gurak, Deputy General Director for Foreign Economic Activities of UkrOboronProm. Hello, and thank you for coming.
Hello.
So, first of all, what task will the new organization work on?
It's a strategic task of defining a problem and proposing a solution how to counter this problem in future. So it's not only development of technologies per se, it's a complex approach to defining risks and methods for countering risks on a long-term perspective. Mm-hmm. Maybe those risks could be solved by way of technologies, maybe by other systems, but that's the main task which should exist, and this function should exist in our state in order to sustainably develop.
Talking about technologies, does DARPA plan to establish new stuff, new weapons, new guns? I don't know.
Well, partially, of course, that would be one of the tasks.
What is being planned for the future? Like, what technologies would you like to work on?
As I said, it's not only about technologies as such, it's about problems. If we speak about strategic defense problems, mm-hmm. Those could be technologies of integration of current artificial intelligence developments into weapon systems. Much more efficient engines, much more efficient actually defense strategies themselves, because strategy and planning is also a very big tool in defense sphere, because well that's the basics, and mm-hmm. that's our main task, to define where we want to be, who are our enemies in future, and how we want to counter, and what are the risks for future.
Mm-hmm. Could you tell us more about American DARPA, since our audience needs to know more about this organization in the United States?
Yeah, so in US it's actually called DARPA, Defense Advanced Research Product Agency, where we are proposing to call ours GARDA, which is Government Advanced Research and Development Agency, which actually GARDA is a thing that protects sword and hand, from being cut off. Uh-huh. So that's kind of a symbolism there also. Okay. But DARPA was created in '57, actually thanks to Ukraine. Why? Because when Ukraine launched, or a Ukrainian scientist, Mr. Korolev, launched the first artificial satellite with the first space vehicle mm-hmm. into space, US realized that they're lacking, that they are behind in technological development. So that was motivation for them? That was motivation, and our US advisor, Mr. Anthony Tetter, is saying that this is the legacy which should actually come back to Ukraine, finally.
You mentioned an American advisor. Who is he? Could you tell us more about him?
Yes, this is Mr. Anthony Tetter, Dr. Anthony Tetter. He was a former DARPA director mm-hmm. For 8 years in the US, and a bright scientist who is very motivated, for creating future, actually.
So currently he's working in Ukraine on the DARPA project. He's
working with us, coming to Ukraine from time to time, or staying in US, as depends on his schedule.
Mm-hmm. What's the stage of the process right now of establishing this new organization?
We've developed fully a concept and principles of work, all the methodology, all the statutory documents which should exist for this agency, and we are 2 weeks ago there was a visit of Mr. Tetter to Ukraine, where he met top officials in the government proposing this initiative to be accepted, and it had a very good feedback from all whom we've met, and the stage is now basically defining the particularities of its future work how is it going to function, when it's going to be established, what are the costs needed to be included into this, and so all
what budget
practical work is going to start very soon.
What budget are you planning for the agency?
Well, it's not actually our function, but the budget in the beginning will be not that big because, well, unlike big scientific organizations to which we're used to in Ukraine, like huge state institutes developing some fundamental things, this would be basically a project management office, whereby the problem is the first is formed, then the solution is also formed, and then the project manager combines all the potential participants and into the project. So it's not going to draw substantial resource. It's going to be the point is that it's not something that needs heavy investment from the state.
Mm-hmm. But is it going to be financed by the state budget or by UkrOboronProm?
Most likely by the state budget, but it's a thing to decide in future as well.
Okay, and then how will US help Garda to function?
It's also a thing to decide, but in future we expect that there will be a mechanism. Actually, Ukraine is now working on a agreement with the United States on research and development cooperation, which will allow US money to be directed to Ukraine's research, and that would be one of the mechanisms by which it could function and the help could function.
What about some other specialists from the US except of Mr. Tetter? Maybe you are planning on inviting somebody else from the US, also from this DARPA agency?
Well, maybe not exactly from DARPA, but of course there will be scientific cooperation, definitely. That's obvious practical thing to happen in future.
So as far as I understand, the work process of UkrOboronProm will change after Garda starts its functioning. Am I right?
Including UkrOboronProm. We hope that this would be a project that will change actually functioning of the whole Ukraine's development, defense and security system.
Okay. How exactly?
We are now reacting to problems which exist. Yeah, so take last recent experience with the aggression, with Russian aggression, and all the last experience of Ukraine as independent state. We are only reacting to problems. We're not defining. We don't know what's going to be even in the medium-term future, and what threats or risks would exist. That's a tool to shift the focus on future and base all the strategies and all future actions on the future problems, knowing exactly which problems will exist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Garda will work on some new technologies, right?
Yeah.
And
to solve those problems.
Yeah. How is it possible to protect these Ukrainian technologies from the attacks from abroad?
Well, there is an established system of protection of technologies. Unfortunately, it's based mostly on financial resource. You know, when scientists are paid, they are same people as everybody else. They just want to have decent remuneration for their work and for their talent. So that's that depends on the state development in general. If Ukraine is developing, if Ukraine is strong, if Ukraine is capable of defending itself, then the system will work because it exists in principle on paper, but of course everything is a matter of practice.
Mm-hmm. And once again, what innovations will Garda focus on? Are these some, well, at the very beginning, how do you think? Are these some kind of robots, some kind of weapons? Or
well, if we're thinking about the future of conflicts, yeah, well, it's going to be, the main function which needs to exist in future armies is maximum autonomous capability at the battlefront. So basically, translating it to simple language is that some kind of machines will gradually replace humans in all types of battles. So that's the main task on which we need to focus in our long-term development. And Ukraine is capable of doing that for sure. We already have a good example of a technology and a product which is called Phantom, which we presented at AUSA exhibition 2 weeks ago, which had great press and raised huge interest in US also and worldwide. This is an unmanned ground vehicle which we hope will be in our army as well very soon.
Well, I'm wishing you success in these, and thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank you.
We were speaking today to Denys Gurak, Deputy General Director for Foreign Economic Activities of UkrOboronProm. Thank you for watching Head to Head. I'm Denys Gurak. Goodbye.